Boom, and welcome to another episode of Nobody Watching. Ladies and gentlemen, today we come at you with some news. As they say, it's all the news that's fit to print. And these days, the definition of fit to print is broad and loose and subjective and frequently discarded for another newsy standard. If it bleeds, it leads. But because the staff here is thin and minimally motivated due to near non-existent pay and abhorrent working conditions, we are unable to provide a deep and insightful reporting of what's going on out there. Rather, we can only scratch the surface of these tidbits with the hope that by sharing some tasty treats with you, you might take it upon yourself to learn more about these topics, what makes them newsworthy, and how you should apply what you learn from them to your own existence. That is what the purpose of news is to begin with. Ours is a relatively shallow and biased presentation, much like many other news outlets these days. But we do the best we can, and our intent is to truly inform, not to incite. That said, let's talk about some stuff going on that seems to have people's tongues wagging and minds whirring. You may have noticed Britney Spears is in the news a lot lately. This is because since a spate of dark days some time ago, a judge took control of her life and handed it over to her father for her own good in a conservatorship, and now, shock and awe, she wants responsibility for her life back. In a world where stars and celebrities are turned into living, breathing corporate entities with millions and millions of dollars at play, it makes sense that one would want to act in the best interest of the person in question, especially if they may pose a threat to themselves or others. However, and we acknowledge this is a very complex situation, Brit's pack of dark days happened around 2008. It's 2021, and she's on the brink of being 40 years old. She seems to be a prisoner of her own fame, and I bet when she was a tot on the Mickey Mouse Club, she thought being a star would be pretty great. Kids' parents. She should get to manage her stuff and make her own grown-up mistakes, just like the rest of us. Raise your hand if you've never made mistakes. I see zero. Have you ever made some really good ones or had your own spate of dark days? Sure you have. The difference is ours aren't generally playing out for all to see, feeding a 24-hour voracious and vicious worldwide media cycle where the slightest misstep can get you canceled or worse, in conservatorship. A critical element of human development, no matter your age, is trial and error, learn by doing, and most importantly, redemption. Applying what you learn to your future circumstances to achieve new successes, no matter the significance, is a must for everyone. Otherwise, what have you got? And if you can't find peace with others, who needs them? At least you can find peace with yourself and take all the strength you need from that. Give Britney back the keys to her palace. The hardball resistance to doing that makes one wonder who and what the folks who are fighting to keep the conservatorship are really trying to protect. In the never say die category, this creature has once again emerged from the dark cocoon of life-giving fluids that sustains him to speak once more of the travesty of his imagination. In what was called the Save America rally held in Wellington, Ohio recently, his egoness dragged out all of the old favorites his fans love to hear without finding it necessary to pull anything from the new album. Speaking for about 90 minutes, it was reported that he might have lost his place a couple of times, fell flat a couple of times, and once they heard all the retreads, what was described as scores of people in the audience left early. Perhaps there is hope after all, or maybe just free hot dogs in the parking lot. The greater concern is that his onceness could actually run for president again, as he is threatening, and like picking a giant orange scab, that can't be good for anyone. And while we here at Nobody Watching try to adhere to a strict policy of being body positive, we would be remiss if we didn't note the recent concerns coming from North Korea over Kim Jong-un's apparent weight loss. Now maybe he is just trying to feel better about himself, or his back-ordered Peloton finally arrived, but the press coming from his domain shows waves of worry by the citizens he governs because he looks emaciated. And this apparently makes them sad. It is believed that Un once topped the scales at about 308 pounds and has maybe lost up to 40 pounds. The details are sketchy, but good for him. Kim Jong-un's health concerns people because the 37-year-old ruler does not have a clear successor should something worse than weight loss or deeper demonic possession plague him. Some other folks continue to grab the headlines, much less for anything that reflects the results of their work or anything they might have accomplished, and more for the goofy things they say and the persona they portray. We've heard words like moronic racist, warbling obstructionist, clueless pawn and puppet, bloated, spineless self-preservationist, and so on. But our goal is not to further promote these and other dandy monikers. Rather, we think that when these folks hit the screen, you should think for a moment how you might react if the very same words were coming from your friends, your mother, your boss, your kids, yourself, and so on. And in that context, would those words, beliefs, and actions still be acceptable? Name-calling is not the answer, for we are smart enough to generate new and horrible names for years and years. That gets us nowhere. What we need to think is, do these people really represent who we are as a society or who we strive to be? Do they? Is this acceptable? Can't we do better? You know they think we're stupid. They're counting on it. But are we? And finally, in the "we'll probably never see it" column, the Pope met Spider-Man at the Vatican recently, and Spider-Man gave the Pope an official Spider-Man mask. And all we really want now is to see the Pope put that mask on. Spider-Pope. It will all be worth the wait. And we'll see you next time.